Heath Ledger saves Jake Gyllenhaal's life. No one knows until Jake confesses years later. January 15th, 2005. Brokeback Mountain set. Alberta wilderness. Day 23 of filming. Heath and Jake are shooting the final camping scene when everything goes wrong. What happens next remains Hollywood's best-kept secret for 15 years. The morning starts perfectly. Minus 20 degrees Celsius. Fresh powder snow covers the mountain peaks. Director Ang Lee wants one final shot before they wrap the wilderness scenes. Heath arrives early at base camp. 4:30 a.m. Already in character as Ennis Del Mar. Quiet, focused, ready for the grueling day ahead. Jake shows up 30 minutes later, tired from the previous day's emotional scenes, but excited to finish their time in the wilderness. "Morning, partner," Jake says to Heath, using their character's familiar greeting. Heath nods. Doesn't break character. Hasn't spoken as Heath Ledger in 3 days. But something feels different about today's shoot. The final scene requires Heath and Jake to ride horses up a dangerous mountain trail. Camera crew will follow in a helicopter. No safety cables, no stunt doubles. It's the most authentic way to capture their relationship, Ang Lee explains to the nervous crew. Heath studies the trail map. Notices something that makes his blood run cold. The planned route passes directly over Devil's Canyon. "Ang, this trail is too dangerous," Heath tells the director. His first words as Heath in daze. "We'll be careful," Lee responds. The horses know the trail, but Heath sees something Lee doesn't. Fresh snow has covered the trail markers. The horses won't be able to distinguish safe ground from the canyon edge. "I'm not comfortable with this," Heath insists. Jake overhears the conversation. "Heath, we've been planning this shot for weeks. I can handle it." Heath looks at Jake, sees the determination in his eyes, the need to prove himself on this difficult film. Heath makes a decision that will save Jake's life. "We do the scene," Heath tells Lee, "but I ride ahead. Jake follows my exact path. The horses are saddled." Heath chooses Ranger, the most experienced mountain horse. Jake gets Thunder, younger but supposedly reliable. "Stay directly behind me," Heath tells Jake. "Don't deviate from my path. Not even 6 inches. Jake nods. "Got it, Ennis." They begin the ascent at 6:45 a.m. Camera helicopter hovers overhead. Fog starts clearing, revealing the stunning landscape. For the first 20 minutes, everything goes perfectly. Heath navigates the narrow trail with expert precision. Jake follows exactly as instructed. The shots look incredible through the camera, but at the trail's highest point, something goes catastrophically wrong. Thunder suddenly panics, rears up on his hind legs. Jake struggles to maintain control. "Easy, boy," Jake whispers, pulling the reins frantically. Thunder calms for a moment, then bolts sideways directly toward Devil's Canyon. Heath hears the commotion behind him, turns in his saddle, sees Thunder charging toward the hidden cliff edge with Jake holding on desperately. "Jake!" Heath shouts over the helicopter noise. "Jump off, now." But Jake can't hear over Thunder's panic and the roaring rotors. Heath makes a split-second decision that defies every safety protocol. He yanks Ranger's reins hard left, charges directly toward Thunder's path, plans to intercept the runaway horse before it reaches the canyon. "What's Heath doing?" Ang Lee shouts into his radio. That's not in the scene. Heath reaches Thunder just as the horse approaches the cliff edge, grabs Thunder's bridle with his left hand while controlling Ranger with his right. The impact nearly throws Heath from his saddle. Thunder rears up again, This time, both horses are dangerously close to the edge. "Jump, Jake!" Heath yells with everything in his lungs. "Trust me and jump." Jake looks down, sees nothing but fog below, doesn't realize they're seconds from falling 200 feet. "I can get him under control." Jake shouts back, pulling harder on the reins. "No, you can't." Heath responds desperately. "Jump toward me, now." Jake finally hears the terror in Heath's voice, sees the genuine fear in his eyes. Without thinking, Jake launches himself sideways from Thunder's saddle. He lands hard in the snow, rolling several feet before stopping against a rocky outcrop. Thunder, now without a rider, charges forward 3 more steps, disappears over the cliff edge into Devil's Canyon. The sound of the horse falling echoes through the mountains for nearly 10 seconds. Jake lies in the snow, stunned, slowly realizes what just happened. "Oh my God," Jake whispers, his voice shaking. "I was going over the edge." Heath dismounts Ranger immediately, rushes to Jake's side. His hands are trembling with adrenaline and shock. "Are you hurt?" Heath asks, checking Jake for injuries with practiced efficiency. "I'm fine," Jake responds, testing his arms and legs. "But Heath, you just saved my life." The helicopter lands immediately. Ang Lee and the crew rush over, faces pale with concern. "What happened up there?" Lee asks frantically. "We saw the horses collide." Heath looks at Jake, then at the crew, makes a decision to protect everyone from the truth. Thunder got spooked by the helicopter, ran toward unstable ground. We handled it. Heath never mentions the cliff, never describes how close Jake came to dying, just horses being horses. Heath tells the concerned crew calmly. But that night in their hotel, Jake confronts Heath privately. "I saw the canyon, Heath. After I jumped, Thunder went right over the edge." Heath sits quietly on his hotel bed, still processing what happened. His hands haven't stopped shaking. "You knew, didn't you?" Jake asks, sitting across from Heath. "You knew about the drop." "I saw it on the trail map this morning," Heath admits quietly. "The fog was hiding all the markers. Why didn't you tell everyone? Why didn't you stop the entire shoot?" Heath looks directly at Jake with exhausted eyes. "Because you wanted to do the scene, and I found a way to keep you safe." Jake realizes the incredible risk Heath took to save him. "You could have fallen too," Jake says, his voice breaking. "When you grabbed Thunder's bridle, both horses almost went over. But we didn't," Heath replies simply. "That's all that matters." Jake stares at Heath in disbelief. "You risked your own life to save mine, without hesitation. Wouldn't you have done the same?" Heath asks. Jake thinks about it honestly. "I don't know. I hope so. But you didn't even think about it." The two actors sit in silence for several minutes, processing the magnitude of what almost happened. "Thunder's dead because of me," Jake says finally. "Thunder's dead because of an accident." Heath corrects. "You're alive because you listened when I told you to jump." But Jake can't shake his guilt. "That horse died saving me." "No," Heath says firmly. "I saved you. The horse was just in the wrong place." The production wraps the mountain scenes the next day. No one discusses the near accident. Heath asks everyone to keep it quiet. "Jake's parents don't need to know how close we came," Heath says to Ang Lee. Lee agrees reluctantly. "But Heath, what you did was extraordinary. You should be recognized." "I should be fired for endangering the production," Heath responds. "Let's just finish the film." For the rest of filming, Jake watches Heath differently, sees the protective instinct beneath the quiet exterior. Every morning, Jake finds small gifts in his trailer. Coffee, snacks. Notes saying, "Stay safe today." Heath never admits to leaving them. But Jake knows. Heath became my guardian angel. Jake later reflects, watching over me without me even realizing it. During emotional scenes, Heath checks on Jake constantly. Make sure he's handling the psychological pressure. "You okay?" becomes Heath's standard question between takes. "I'm fine." Jake always responds, but Heath's concern touches him deeply. The incident creates a deeper bond between the actors. Their on-screen chemistry becomes even more authentic. "After that day, I trusted Heath completely," Jake explains years later. "He proved he'd risk everything to protect me." But Heath's heroism comes at a personal cost. That night, Heath calls his girlfriend Michelle Williams from the hotel. "Something happened today," Heath tells her. "I almost lost Jake." Michelle hears the trauma in Heath's voice. "Are you okay, baby? I keep thinking about what would have happened if I'd been slower." Heath says, "If I hadn't reached him in time." "But you did reach him," Michelle reminds him. "You saved him." This time, Heath replies, "But what about next time?" The near-death experience changes Heath's approach to dangerous scenes. He becomes obsessively protective of his co-stars. During future films, Heath insists on extra safety measures, double-checks equipment, studies every potential hazard. Heath became the unofficial safety officer on every set, director Terry Gilliam observes, always looking out for everyone else. Heath's protective instincts extend beyond film sets. When Jake starts dating seriously, Heath gives the boyfriend a quiet warning. "Take care of him. He's important to a lot of people." When Jake considers dangerous roles, Heath calls to discuss the safety protocols. "Heath never stopped being my protector," Jake admits, even years after Brokeback. But Heath's heroism stays hidden for 15 years. Only after Heath's death does Jake feel comfortable sharing the story. Even then, he waits until 2020 to reveal the full details. Heath was a genuine hero, Jake tells a documentary crew, not just in movies, in real life. The mountain rescue reveals Heath's true character, his willingness to sacrifice for others, his quiet strength in crisis situations. Most actors would have stopped the production. Ang Lee admits years later, Heath found a way to protect Jake while still making the film. The delayed revelation comes during a 2020 interview with Jake about Heath's legacy. "There's something I've never told anyone," Jake says to the interviewer. "Something that shows who Heath really was." Jake describes the Devil's Canyon incident in complete detail for the first time. The interviewer is stunned. "Why haven't you shared this before?" "Because Heath asked me not to," Jake explains. "He never wanted credit for being a hero." The story spreads quickly through Hollywood. Other actors come forward with similar tales of Heath's protective nature. Christian Bale reveals Heath's warnings about dangerous Dark Knight stunts. Anne Hathaway describes Heath's concern during her first major film. A pattern emerges of Heath, quietly protecting everyone around him. Heath saved more than just Jake that day. Director Christopher Nolan observes, "He saved the entire Brokeback Mountain production." The revelation reframes Heath's legacy, not just as a brilliant actor, but as a genuinely heroic person. He was the kind of person who ran toward danger to help others. Jake concludes, "That's courage you can't act." Thunder's owner, rancher Bill Morrison, learns about the horse's death years later. "Thunder was always skittish around helicopters," Morrison explains. Morrison doesn't blame Heath for the accident. Thunder died doing what he was trained for, and Heath saved a human life. The canyon where Thunder fell becomes a memorial site. Local guides tell visitors about the horse who died and the actor who risked everything to save his friend. Devil's Canyon gets renamed Heroes Canyon by the local community. A small plaque reads, "In memory of Thunder and in honor of Heath Ledger's courage." Jake visits the memorial every year on the anniversary of the accident. "I come to remember Thunder," Jake explains, "and to thank Heath one more time." The scene they filmed that day appears in Brokeback Mountain's final cut. Audiences see the beautiful mountain landscape. They don't see how close they came to witnessing a tragedy. "Every time I watch that scene," Jake says, "I remember the moment Heath saved my life." The Brokeback Mountain production team creates a private memorial for Thunder. A photo of the horse hangs in Ang Lee's office, with a note, "Reminder to always prioritize safety over the shot." Industry safety protocols change because of the incident. Helicopter scenes require additional safety measures. Trail riding gets stricter oversight. Heath's quick thinking didn't just save Jake. Safety coordinator Tom Reynolds explains, "It changed how we approach dangerous scenes." Heath's split-second decision on Devil's Canyon exemplifies his approach to everything: protective, selfless, quietly heroic. The story only emerges because Jake feels obligated to honor Heath's memory, to show the world who Heath really was when cameras weren't rolling. "He saved my life without thinking about his own," Jake concludes. "That's the Heath Ledger I want people to remember." Thunder's fall into Devil's Canyon remains a stark reminder of what could have happened. The horse's body was never recovered from the 200-foot drop. Heath Ledger's quick thinking and selfless courage prevented Brokeback Mountain from becoming a tragedy. Instead, it became the film that launched both actors into stardom. Jake Gyllenhaal owes his career, his life, and his family to a split-second decision Heath made on a foggy mountain morning. A decision Heath never wanted credit for making. The final irony is heartbreaking. Heath spent his career playing complex, tormented characters, but his greatest performance was being himself, a quiet hero who saved lives without seeking recognition. Heath was a better person than any character he ever played, Jake reflects, and that's saying something.